Good day, everyone. So, welcome again to our subject speech and theater arts. So, for today's discussion, we will talk about the bodily actions in speech delivery. So, our objectives at the end of the discussion, you will be able to explain the role of facial expressions and eye contact in speech delivery, exemplify the role of posture, gestures, and movement in speech delivery, and apply the bodily actions in speech delivery. So many speakers are more nervous about physical delivery than vocal delivery. Putting our bodies on the line in front of an audience often make us feel more vulnerable than putting our voice out there. So physical delivery and the face. We tend to look the person's face when we are listening to them. Again, this often makes people feel uncomfortable and contributes to their overall speaking anxiety. Many speakers don't like the feeling of having all eyes on them, even though having a room full of people avoiding making eye contact with you would be much more awkward. Remember, it's a good thing for audience members to look at you because it means they are paying attention and interested. Audiences look toward the face of the speaker for cues about the tone and content of the speech. Facial expressions can help bring a speech to life when used by a speaker to communicate emotions and demonstrate enthusiasm for the speech. As with local variety, we tend to use facial expressions naturally and without conscious effort when engaging in day to day conversations. Eye contact. So, eye contact is an important element of the nonverbal communication in all communication settings. As speaker, eye contact can also be used to establish credibility and hold your audience's attention. We often interpret a lack of eye contact to mean that someone is not credible or not competent. And as a public speaker, you don't want your audience thinking either of those things. Eye contact holds attention because an audience member who knows the speaker is making regular eye contact will want to reciprocate that eye contact to show that they are paying attention. So these are the tips for having eye contact. Number one is once in front of the audience, establish eye contact before you speak. Make slow and deliberate eye contact, sweeping through the whole audience from left to right. Despite what high school speech teachers or others might have told you, do not look over the audience's heads at the back or at the clock. Unless you are in a huge auditorium, it will just look to the audience like you are looking over their heads. Do not just make eye contact with one or few people that you know or that look friendly. Also, do not just make eye contact with your instructor or boss. Even if it's comforting for you as a speaker, it is usually awkward for the audience member. Try to memorize your opening and closing lines so you can make full eye contact with the audience. This will strengthen the opening and closing of your speech and help you make a connection with the audience. Physical delivery and the body. So we have here the what we call the posture. So this is the position we assume with our bodies, either intentionally or out of habit. Although people, especially young women, used to be trained in posture, often by having them walk around with books stuck with their heads, you should use a posture that is appropriate for the occasion while still positioning yourself in a way that feels natural. Next is gestures. These include arm and hand movements. We all go through a process of internalizing our native culture from childhood. An obvious part of this process is becoming fluent in language. Perhaps less obvious is the fact that we also become fluent in nonverbal communication, gestures in particular. Movement. So sometimes movement of the whole body instead of just gesturing with hands is appropriate in a speech. I recommend that beginning speakers hold off trying to incorporate body movement from the waist down until they've gotten at least one speech done. This allows you to concentrate on managing anxiety and focus on more important aspects of delivery like vocal variety, avoiding fluency hiccups and verbal fillers, and improving eye contact. So these are the messages are sent by kinesics. So these are the facial expressions, the gestures, the eye movement, postures, and rate of walk. So paralinguistics, how words are spoken, variation in the voice. Proxemics, this is how space and distance are used. Haptics, different types of touching. Clothing and artifacts, these are the appearance and style. Color, variations in clothing and environmental colors. And the last one is the chronemics, using time to communicate. Let's now proceed to credibility and physical delivery. So we have what we call the personal appearance. So looking like a credible and prepared public speaker will make you feel more like one and will make your audience more likely to perceive you as such. This applies to all speaking contexts like academic, professional, and personal, although the standards for appropriate personal appearance vary between contexts, meeting them is key. You may have experienced a time when your vocal and physical delivery suffered because you were not dressed the part. So here are some tips for maintaining business casual dress and appearance. Things to generally avoid: jeans, hats, flip-flops, exposed underwear, exposed stomachs, athletic wear, heavy cologne, perfume, and chewing gum. General dress guidelines for women: dress pants or skirts, blouse or dress shirt, and close to dress shoes. Jacket is optional. Finishing touches: make sure shoes are neat and polished, not scuffed or dirty. Clothes should be pressed, not wrinkled. Make sure fingernails are clean and trimmed, and remove any lint, dog hair, and so on from clothing. When it comes to visual aids and delivery, visual aids play an important role in conveying supporting material to your audience. They also tie to delivery since using visual aids during a speech usually requires some physical movements. It is important not to let your use of visual aids detract from your credibility. The following tips can help you ensure that your visual aids enhance rather than detract from your message and credibility. So these are the tips. Only have your visual aid displayed when it is relevant to what you are saying. Insert black slides in PowerPoint, hide a model or object in a box, flip a poster board around, and so on. Make sure to practice with your visual aids so there aren't any surprises on speech day. Don't read from your visual aids. Put key information from your PowerPoint on your speaking outline and only briefly glance at the screen to make sure you are on the right slides. Triple check your technology to make sure if it's working. For example, the electricity, the internet connection, the wireless clicker, sound, and so on. Proofread all your visual aids to find spelling, grammar errors, and typos. Bring all the materials you may need to make your visual aid work: tape, tacks for posters and pictures, computer cables, adapters, and so on. Don't assume these materials will be provided. Have a backup plan in case your visual aid doesn't work properly. So that's all for today's discussion. So for your performance activity, the deadline would be on January 18, 2024, 8 p.m. only. So answer the following questions. This consists of 30 points. Put your answer in the comment section below by following the format: your name, your block or cluster, and then your answer. First question is, what do you think is the best practice to follow when dressing for a job interview? In what professional presentation would you want to dress formally, business casual, or casual? In what ways do you think you can conform to business casual expectations while still preserving your individuality? So, again, if you have any questions, clarifications, so don't hesitate to chat it in our official group chat. So, thank you very much for listening and see you on our next discussion.